New from Kings of Leon, Mustang on 92.3 WTTS. The new album is Can We Please Have Fun? And it is my absolute pleasure to say that here to talk with us about it is Caleb and Jared Followill of Kings of Leon. Wow, fellas, good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
So when I saw these reviews of this new album, a lot of them calling back to the earlier stuff. And I remember hearing Molly's Chambers for the first time, and we just went crazy over it at the college radio station back then in '03. And so I thought if it harks back to that era, I got to hear it. And I think they're kind of right. Caleb, was it a conscious decision to go back to that sound?
Not necessarily. I think it's not even necessarily the sound that harkens back to it, as much as this is going to sound kind of silly, but the passion. I feel like the passion from the early days was here again, and it still is. We tapped into something, and we kind of got that us versus the world mentality that you kind of lose over time when you get a little comfortable, or I don't know. I feel like we were just kind of missing that thing, and you don't necessarily know you're missing it until you find it, and then it's like, oh, that's what we've been missing.
Yeah, Jared, would you echo that or add to it in any way?
Yeah, definitely. It's almost just like running across a tightrope, and that's what we did in the early days because we didn't know any better and we weren't polished at all, and we didn't know what we were doing. And you've got a record label saying like you've got to do this by then and this by then, and you immediately were going to Memphis and doing an EP. And with this one, Kid was so positive and forward moving that you kind of had that same momentum, that same energy. Like if something didn't work, you move on to the next thing and just kept pushing forward. So it's definitely an energy thing. Caleb's right about that.
Yeah, you're talking about Kid Harpoon. We're talking to Caleb and Jared from Kings of Leon about the new record. And Caleb, I love this interview that you gave to Esquire about how you felt after the album was done. It just seemed like you really, I mean, you stretched your creativity and you had fun, and obviously Kid was a big help, but it was also this really emotional reaction when it was over and you heard it for the first time. And it was interesting to hear you react to your reaction, I guess, kind of fighting off the emotional part of yourself with the tough guy you were raised to be. And I think, I mean, a lot of us can relate to that. Is it easier now, I guess, to let yourself feel the feels?
Yeah, I think it probably is. I think, you get to a point in life when you're younger, you feel like maybe it shows weakness, but really, I feel like the older you get, you realize it just shows your appreciation for the experience that you've had. So yeah, that tough guy persona is, well, it's not necessarily a persona. I mean, I consider myself a rub some dirt on it kind of guy, but the more you kind of allow yourself to go a little deeper, and especially when you pour yourself into something in the arts, also kind of not the toughest thing you can do is get into the arts. But when you do that and you kind of completely let yourself go, it's impossible for emotion not to take a huge, huge role in that.
Yeah, and realizing that only comes with maturity and experience, which you certainly have. It's been a wild ride. Caleb and Jared Followill of Kings of Leon have been my guests this morning. The new album is Can We Please Have Fun? And it gets a big thumbs up from me. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. This has been cool.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Have a great